time. Chicago with the lead.
Court. Batista with the catch.
Oh!
LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Hand down, man down.
Yeah, I can see how disrespectful he's being right there.
No, I went to Temecula and brought you some dirt.
Yeah, that's a technical.
Mama, there goes that man.
Welcome back to The Bounce, brought to you proudly by Bite Size Sports. I almost pointed at the hat, but I'm not wearing it today.
No.
With me, as always, are my dear friends and co-hosts, James and Keebler, the Knicks stop. Let's start with you, Keebler. How you doing today, sir? What is going on in your world?
I'm doing good. My week has been a little more free because we didn't do necessary roughness this week. But yesterday's show went good with Nate. That was like 35 minutes, 40, I think, maybe. So that was good. I've been doing good. The Knicks have been doing really good, so I can't really complain. How are you guys doing?
Brunson Burner, shout out to Nate over at Sportsbook Junkies. Subscribe to be notified when Sportsbook Junkies go live. James, how about you, sir? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. Just happy to be back after a 1 week hiatus. We made her back, so excited to talk some hoops here, fellas.
Oh, yeah. We're happy to have you back. James and I have been in the studio a lot together this week, so it'll be interesting. Hopefully we don't cross any streams and talk about Loki or Star Wars or anything while we're here. But if you want to hear us talk about that, go subscribe to our sister network, Dweeb, with two D's on the front. Yeah, that is listen, I'm all shameless with the plugs. I couldn't come up with anything clever for my subheading there, so I just put like and subscribe. So
at least you
if you want to incorporate Star Wars and basketball, you could do Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah. See,
Dude,
Keebler's the
yes,
guy. Keebler's the guy. He knows.
Exactly. I really, you know what? I'm gonna get into Bing later, and we're gonna see if AI can't generate something.
Oh boy,
Obi Toppin as a Jedi, because I feel like Tyrese Halliburton might look pretty decent in some Jedi robes too, with the right AI prompts. Whoo, I tell you, they're also looking like a contender in the East, which is one of our topics for tonight, guys. Check it out. The bottom line has the scroll. It'll tell you everything that is on the docket. But I'll give you a little sneak peek right now. Draymond Green, of course, we have to talk about that every time Draymond does. It's almost like a Manny being Manny thing. Can I just say Draymond being Draymond? And we all know what it means at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like that's fine. What's wrong with the Clippers? Are the Pacers for real? Is LaVine leaving Chicago?
Herbert.
Woo! As if on cue, Justin Herbert. Congratulations once again, brother. And now he is one of many teams that are in the hunt for Zach LaVine. Yes, shout out, dude, to the new father, Justin Herbert. Very happy for you, brother.
Herbert.
Congratulations, and happy you get some time. Hey, listen, spend some time with us while you can. Make sure you get your sleep, Justin. All right, you got
you're gonna need it. Probably
you're gonna need it, brother. Take those nights off. Are the Lakers finished? And we will also keep you up to date on tonight's Thursday night hoops and Thursday night football, as always. Because we picked this night, we are obligated as the only bite-sized sports program running on a Thursday night. We can't just leave you hanging on Thursday night football. So it's happened enough weeks in a row. I've just decided, sorry guys, I made an executive decision. We're going to include a little football here on the bounce during football season because there's that Thursday night game. So let us know in the chat if anything is going wild over there on Amazon or wherever you're watching the football game. But we got 2 NBA games to check up on. And then, of course, we will end the show as we always do with our weekend preview of the best NBA games to look at. Now, we mentioned Sportsbook Junkies before, so before it gets too late, and it might already be too late, Keebler, did you have any action tonight on any of the current NBA games or anything coming up?
I've had a couple really bad beats, to say the least. So I unfortunately don't have money to bet with until tomorrow, which is payday. So if I were to have bet today, I would have went with the Heat and the Thunder would have been my two teams to go with, but
Heat are up early, or I guess third quarter.
drawing. Since we're on the bounce, I guess I can talk about my one parlay that kind of messed me up a little bit. It's college basketball, but it is basketball, so I just want to throw that out there. I had a 10-leg.
That's allowed.
I had a 10-leg parlay, which was $5 to turn into $5,000. 9 of them hit. I needed UNC to win by.
Oh no!
I needed UNC to win by 19, and they won by 16. So.
Oh. Oh, that hurts.
Mm.
Yeah,
that hurts, man.
definitely. And then I had one, which was like an 8-leg, I think, which was 5 or 10 to turn into 2.7 thousand. And everything hit except LeBron when they got blown out by the Lakers. He needed like 6 more points, and then Curry needed like 7 more points that night.
Those hurt.
Yeah, and then last night I had a $5 bet to win 47,000. It was like 15 legs, and 4 of them missed. So I'm close. I'm very close, to say the least.
Yeah, like Herbert says, you got to start tagging Scott Van Pelt in some of these. You know, he might make bad beats. And also shout out to Only Mistakes in the chat. Another one of our wonderful members of the Clout crew over on the Clout Route podcast. So love that. Thank you for shouting out us eggheads in the chat. We love it, you know. James, you're definitely going to be an honorary egg, you know.
Us eggheads.
Oh, I'm an honorary egghead.
You're getting there. Me and Dan, that's the whole.
Keebler and John have too much hair for us.
We got, but that keeps it balanced, you know, as all
we
things
do need that
perfectly balanced as all things should be. We got Keebler and John have the kind of hairlines that'll withstand until their 80s. And meanwhile,
my hairline
going. Is your fading?
Oh,
all
no.
right. Well, you're looking good. Okay, all right.
I have a widow's peak that I shave.
Fair enough. Hey, same here. Mine turned into an island. But so Danny is also bald. So that's the joke. When you ever see eggs in the chat, James, just know
that's it.
Those are our dear friends from the Clout Route showing some love for the other 2 eggs. But it kind of works here because you're about as bald as I am. So there we go. Now we got 3 mistakes to see. Only mistakes in the chat. Now we got 3 eggs.
See all the eggs out.
I love it. Oh, it's great. All right, so where should we start? Maybe let's start with the games that are live before we even get into the NBA stuff. Anything going on in the Thursday night football realm?
In the football realm, the Bengals are up 3 when they were down.
Scored. Just scored to go up 10-7.
Why am I doing the horns so much today? What am I doing with my hands?
Horns up?
Yeah, I don't know why. I
was gonna take Joe Mixon for a touchdown too. That's really annoying.
Keebler, I had Gus Edwards first touchdown score for plus 600.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was fun.
Ooh, get that. I need a little Keaton Mitchell in my life. I'm walking the razor's edge, but hey, he had a 30-yard touchdown that saved me last week, so maybe he can do it again.
He has -4 rushing yards right now, so he's well on his way for you.
All right, well, you guys, it's been fun. I made it 8 minutes. You guys got it from here. No. All right, what about in the NBA? What do we have? Does anybody have the scoreboard handy? I'm pulling it up myself.
Nets is on right now. Thunder Warriors is later. Heat are up
77-71.
Yep. Keebler's is a shot ahead of me. Yep. So Heat are up.
Mikal Bridges just hit a 3 to put them back to within 6.
Jimmy
and
Butler,
the Heat notably
24.
7-4 again. They were off to a bit of a rough start.
Well, they haven't lost a game since the last time I was on. I noticed. Winning streak since the last time I was on.
Which is really weird, given how they have Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and Haywood Highsmith all in their starting lineup.
Yeah, that's a whopper. That's a whopper of a lineup. Strikes
Haywood Highsmith.
Fear into the hearts of many. God, I can't. Every time I open up Jimmy Butler's stats, it's that damn picture he took. Emo Jimmy.
Yeah. I'm happy.
And I love seeing this. Oh, go ahead, Keebler.
He started the season very shaky. And now he's starting to put up 32. The other day he put up 28. Now he's
got 24 tonight. That's why I was looking at his stats to see if he had kicked it back in, and he sure has.
He's back.
He had 32 the other night. Yep.
Thankfully.
I love Jimmy. It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be right there in the mix
They
again
won
in
5
the
in a
East.
row.
I was worried.
Sorry.
I was worried there for a minute, but they're looking to be right on track. And speaking of teams that are right on track, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the away team, are actually 3.5-point favorites tonight against Golden State. Who, check this, James.
Go ahead.
We kept a good track of how bad the Golden State Warriors were on the road last year. They were
guess what they're bad
historically
at this year.
This year they are 1-4 at home. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it.
Shouldn't have left Oracle.
We're gonna have another long night, in my opinion, boys, with the Thunder coming into Golden State, and Golden State has to play without Steph Curry, but also without Draymond Green. So I guess let's talk a little bit about Thunder Golden State preview, and then that'll take us into our first topic of the night, which is Draymond being Draymond. So James, let's start with you. I'm feeling pretty comfortable about the Thunder given the stacked deck that they have, but how do you feel about them coming into the Warriors' house tonight?
I feel the same way. They're young and hungry and not missing anybody. I think that's key right there. No Steph, no Draymond, unless you get a vintage Clay game where he goes off for 50. I just don't see it. This Thunder team is so fun.
Sidebar, are there any vintage Clay games left?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think he's going to even drop over 30 this year in a game, personally.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty done.
And if it were going to happen, it's not going to be on this team, I don't think.
No.
Exactly.
And the only way I see it happening is if he somehow ends up on like a really bad team, right? Just because he's not the guy who can score 40 points on 9 dribbles anymore. He's just like that vintage Clay is never coming back, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Keebler, what about you? Any thoughts on the Thunder coming into Golden State?
Well, I'm looking at like the betting odds right now, just in case, like hypothetically, I wanted to place a parlay. That I see a lot of things that hold really good value. Number one, the Thunder only being 3-point favorites. I would definitely slam them -3. I really like that a lot.
I think so too.
I think Shai, however you pronounce it.
Shai is right.
Yeah, Shai. I think he'll have over 30.5 points. Again, Curry's out, so he's not really going to be being guarded by anyone of substance. When you look at the assist numbers, Chris Paul is going to be starting probably. I like him over 9.5 assists. I would be careful with that. But I like that a lot. Giddey is at 5.5. That's really a coin flip with how ball dominant Shai's been this year. And then rebounds, I think Kevon Looney's going to have a field day against Chet personally. So I would probably take Kevon Looney over 9.5 rebounds at plus money. I feel like that holds a lot of value as well. If you were to throw that all together, just to give you guys like an idea of what the payout on that would be. So what I say? I said Shai over 30.5, Thunder -3, Kevon Looney
9.5 plus 9.5. And what'd you have? Chris Paul over
9.5,
7.5, 9.5. That's the only one that's even a bit of a jump. So just to reinforce your position, according to ESPN, Shai is averaging 29.3 points per game. Kevon Looney's averaging 9.1 rebounds per game. And then Chris Paul's only averaging 7 assists per game. So that's the only one that's even like a kind of a jump. Everything else, it's like you need one more rebound or one more free throw. Like that's great. It's almost I agree with you. The Looney is just going to manhandle Chet in there. But yeah, whenever I see it's like, well, your seasonal average is basically at the over. I'm going to take the over probably, given this friendly situation. Same thing with Shai. Yeah, I would say to hammer that parlay.
And that would be plus 1,200 odds. So you can either bet 10 to make 120 profit, or you can bet 100 to make 1,200 profit.
You can pull a Kev and bet 1 to make 12.
You could also do that. Or what I had to do last night on a whim and do 10 cents to win $1.20. So,
ooh, hey, dude, that's how I sated that addiction when I was in college all those years ago. It was a little website called Cent Sports. And you could bet like as little as, I think it was maybe 10 cents was like the lowest wager. But yeah, that's back in my day, that's how I got into this whole degeneracy. So anyway,
I actually do have $1 on Fliff to play with, so maybe I will.
Oh, Fliff, baby!
I will put down that $1 on this. Hope for the bet. Oh, did they take away player props? There it is. I was going to say, don't even get.
I love it, dude. Getting a little live betting in, a little promo for Sportsbook Junkies, guys. Make sure you check it out.
Exactly.
So while he puts that in, of course, we already mentioned that the Warriors were going to be shorthanded. Now, I'm going to try to find a photo here, unless anyone else has it handy. Probably won't play the video for you, but I think anyone watching our show, for the most part, has seen the Draymond headlock. But in case you haven't,
that's so stupid.
It looked like he didn't even care. He just wanted to put Rudy in a headlock.
Yeah, he was just waiting
years, and then just saw the opportunity and just ran at him and put him in one.
Yeah, exactly. Like it didn't even seem like the headlock was necessary to me. Like I don't think it was needed in that situation. It was interesting. Did either of you guys hear Pat Bev's take on it on his podcast? Because
I ignore Pat Bev at all costs.
I don't know what he said, but I saw it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and James, you're not wrong. Whenever a clip from his podcast trends on Twitter and it ends up on my For You somehow, I'll see it. But essentially, although I disagree with almost everything Pat Beverly has to say most of the time when it comes to basketball, if I'm being honest with you, he brought up a point that I thought might have some merit to it, which would be that he couldn't really believe that Karl Anthony Towns and that they just kind of let that happen. And he was kind of speaking on, and of course he played with a lot of those guys. So he was speaking a little more casually than I think somebody who didn't know those folks personally. I don't know if he'd have given, actually he would have, because he's Pat Bev. So he probably would have said it anyway. But basically his take was, the Warriors won't take the Wolves seriously going forward, or at least that Draymond, that they should not have let him get away with that. And now his take was that the Warriors have a mental advantage over the Wolves because the Wolves let Draymond, put a rear naked choke on their biggest, strongest player, and nobody did anything about it, even though they have another 7-footer right there who probably could have kept things apart. James, do you buy into that at all? Should someone on the Timberwolves team done something to stop Draymond, or were they all smart to just let him sort of dig his own grave?
Man, like I see both sides of that. I'm happy if I'm them that nobody's suspended and nobody did fight, but I call out if I'm Rudy, I'm like, man, nobody gonna do anything about this. But hindsight, it's just like who cares? Big thing. Nobody on their team got suspended. They got some fines. They don't have to worry about it. Like Draymond's out for 5 games. Like such is life.
That's fair. Keebler, what about you? Do you agree? Do the Wolves have an issue since nobody stepped up and did anything to Draymond, or was it the right move just to let him go berserk and let the league deal with it?
We're past the 3-minute mark, right? I just want to.
Yes, you're good. You're all clear, brother.
Yeah. Before I throw any obscenities out there, I think the Timberwolves are very soft for not doing anything. Number one, yes, Draymond's a big guy, but he's only like 6'5", and when you do have Karl Anthony Towns, even though he's a renowned pussy, then like. When you have that big of a size advantage on someone, you should be doing something. Maybe they're friends. So he was like, let me not like touch my friend, or whatever, maybe that played into it. But when you have someone going after your own teammate, you have to do something to show like, don't fuck with us. And it's like, I don't know. I don't agree with Pat Bev in a way, but I do at the same time. Like, it's going to be in the back of their mind, like the Warriors' minds, like, if we do something again, what are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? But like, it's going to be a subconscious thing. It's not going to be like at the forefront of their mind going into like playing someone. But if you're the Timberwolves, you got to do something. I mean, I can't really talk. I'm 6'2", like 200, so I'm not going to be able to do anything. Well, 210. I'm not going to be able to do anything to those dudes. So maybe in my own personal stance, I would have just tried to be like a peace offerer. But when you're that stature, you're that big, and tempers are that high, you got to do something to back up your teammate. It's as simple as that.
I would agree.
I agree with a lot of that, and I do think that there is some, as Keebler put it, a subconscious advantage. There is something about, let's say, for instance, if the Warriors squared off against the Wolves in a playoff series later, if I play for the Warriors, I do subconsciously kind of have that knock of, yeah, these guys are soft, right? Like, and whether or not that actually means anything in the scope of the game, it makes me feel like I have a mental advantage. And sometimes that's all you need, especially when you're already the veteran team that already has the championship experience, yada, yada. And Draymond, there's not much on the box score that he's going to do to impact games positively anymore. But you know, he can do some things. I love that. Thank you, Justin. Pacers over Knicks, he said. Okay. Zach hopping in here with a question. Since this is an issue now, do you think they will overdo it the next time something like this happens? And that's a really good question, because I think a lot of people already have been asking, was 5 games enough? So we've talked about the mental aspect, whether or not Pat Bev was right. We're going to boomerang it. So this time I'll start with you, Keebler, and go to James. Do you think 5 games was the right suspension for Draymond Green? Should it have been more lenient? Should it have been stricter? What would you do? And I guess to answer Zach's question, do you think the next time something like this happens, will they take it further, to discipline?
I think with Draymond's history post 2014 of him kicking Steven Adams in the balls, kicking other dudes in the balls, being being an overall just dirty player, in my opinion.
Punching his own teammate.
I think they had a really good chance to set a precedent to suspend him for 10 games, and I don't think anyone would have been opposed to like a 10-game suspension. I think that's what he deserves, because they could have been like, hey, we've seen your history. Yes, you've gotten 1-game suspensions during the finals for it. You've gotten so many technicals in a season that during the playoffs you had to take a seat for a game. Like, I think with a player of his magnitude, when it comes to like the dirty side of basketball, I think you got to do more than 5 games personally, especially like, not to like poke at it, but like, if you're going to suspend Ja 25 games for doing something not violent and only suspend Draymond 5 for full-on a dude, like, I think you really have to weigh what your thing is. I don't think they'll overdo it. Like, if a fight breaks out, I don't think it'll be overdone next time that it happens, because the next time that they're going to fight is probably going to be in a playoff series when one team's down like 3-1 and the one team is up like 20 points, so it doesn't matter. They're just gonna fight to fight.
Malice in the Palace.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna overdo it, but there probably will be something else, just because Draymond's ego gets in the way and Rudy's a bitch. So
I agree on both counts.
So that's just my take on it. But
I like that. But before I dive in, James, what about you? Both questions. 1, do you think that 5 games was a reasonable suspension? And 2, do you think that the next time something like this happens, it's going to be a harsher punishment?
It should have been longer. I agree with Keebler. There's so many instances of him being a dirty player, regular season playoffs. It happens all the time. Like, suspend the dude. He needs to be out 10 games. And the jaw, it's not an apples for apples comparison, but Keebler's got a good point there. Next time it happens, they need to hammer him. But I mean, there's been next time every single time. Like, this should have been the hammer. Teams don't play again until March 24th. That was a back end of a back-to-back with them. They don't play again for a long time. So I don't think it becomes an issue between them. It's so far gone by then. But I think they should have just dropped the hammer on him. It should have been a minimum 10 games. Like, enough is enough, man. Like, it's just getting worse and worse.
And the 5 games that he got suspended are without pay, correct? I assume.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so.
Mm-hmm. He misses Oklahoma City twice, Houston, Phoenix, San Antonio.
So 4 games that you'll probably need him for.
Yep.
Yeah, especially
For the
this
5
iteration of the Warriors team. This isn't a team that, in my opinion, is incredibly deep. Or maybe they could. It's a team that has the potential to be deep. There are some good young players still in Golden State. But yeah, like you said, not games you would want him to miss. But I will say this. I agree with both of you. I think it should have been longer. I'll go with 10 games. I didn't have a number set in my mind as to where, I don't know if 25 games would have been valid, but I do agree with a lot about what Keebler said. There's one particular instance in the Ja Morant stuff that involved the Pacers where Pacers personnel did feel like they were at risk. So I have to stop short of saying that nothing Ja did put any players at risk. But again, that's just sort of like a he said situation. This one we could see with our own eyes, Draymond putting other players at risk. And I think I do agree with Keebler that well, both of you, that should have been a more weighted or a heavier suspension, in my opinion. What does Justin say? I get with y'all. God bless. And fuck Draymond. He's a hoe. If his ass was playing with us back at the Y, Kev, and he pulled some shit like that, we're fucking him up for sure. 100%. Absolutely no. I can tell you guys without a shadow of a doubt, Justin Herbert would have scrapped with Draymond. And also, I probably would have too, because I was definitely a shit talker. I grew up, my 2 favorite players growing up to watch were Larry Bird and Reggie Miller. So I thought shit talking was just something that you had to do to get inside the opponent's head. So big trash talker over here. It's funny. I actually, most of the time it's James who has these claim to fame. Like, I coach this NBA All-Star, I don't have a lot. And most of the time it's, I played against this really, or I was a manager against this really good player on a 3-26 Toledo Rockets team. And that's what this story is going to be about too. At the Legends Classic back in my day, we played against Michigan State with Draymond Green there. And so have had the experience of just getting absolutely massacred by the Spartans in front of their home crowd. It was a white out too. For why are you going to white out for Toledo coming into town? But anyway, it was pretty brutal. So I've kind of always had a bit of I started out with oh, that's so cool. I'm rooting for Draymond because he's a Big Ten guy. He doesn't do anything particularly well. He's just a hustler. He's just he didn't even really shoot well. He's like Dennis Rodman, without the personality, I guess, or with
and a little more of a 3-ball.
With what?
A little more of a 3-ball.
A little more, yeah. Yep, a little, just a tad. But yeah, and then it turned out Draymond had plenty of personality, and he was maybe even more like Dennis Rodman than I originally thought. But I'm over it, man. I'll be honest. I am really sick and tired of Draymond Green in general. And it's one of those things it frustrates me because you can see the potential that, like, I don't listen to his podcast, but I've heard really good, well thought takes. Like, he's a good speaker. He can articulate himself well. And it's one of those, like, I don't want to hate this person, but I kind of do, just because it seems like he's smart enough to not do these really stupid things that he does on the court that puts his team in jeopardy. And listen, I think most of the league would like to put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. He is he might be less liked than Draymond. Say that again.
I would love to put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold personally, like from my couch.
Yeah, I can't stand Rudy Gobert to be like it's a very weird position to be in, to be like, oh yeah, I'm on Rudy Gobert's side in this whole ordeal. But Draymond somehow, I agree with that initial take that Keebler had of he was just looking for this was his opportunity. I know I can choke Rudy because no one's going to have his back because nobody likes that dude, even on his own team. I can get away with this. I can do this. And then the league kind of lets him get away with it too. Now, to go back to Zach's original question about will it be harsher? I think if Draymond does something like this again, the hammer has to come down, right? Like if Draymond goes full Isaiah Stewart and is chasing people down, knocking coaches over as he's trying to fight another guy, like at that point, after you've already suspended Draymond 5 games, I think you have to come back well into the double digits. Otherwise, you're setting a horrible precedent for what could go on. Then you might as well, then we're back to the old Kurt Rambis days in the 80s, Bill Laimbeer,
clock him across the middle.
Then we can bring flying lariats and clotheslines back into basketball. I personally love it. It's fine, but save it for slam ball maybe. So I do think they will come down harder on Draymond should it happen again. But moving on to our next big story, guys, for those of you who didn't know, and this is a sign of the times, really, old sports journalists didn't have to deal with all of this information. Zach LaVine not only wore an LA Dodgers hat in a post-game interview that had a lot of people thinking he was signaling where he'd like to be traded, but he has removed Bulls Nation from his Twitter bio, which we all know what that means, guys. He is done. He hates the organization. He's done.
Once you change the Twitter bio, it's over.
Someday I'm going to take bite size out of Twitter bio when I'm in a contract stalemate with you guys. I'm going to remove it. That's how you guys are going to know. I'm out. I'm mad. You guys ever casually look and it's gone? That's what's going on.
I'm just going to tweet about it so we can get more interactions. I'm just going to say, oh my God, breaking news. This guy changed his Twitter bio. Oh my God. So that kind of leads into it. Is that a story to you, James? But also some of us here, if not all of us, have been preaching that the Bulls should move from LaVine for quite some time. I think I even tweeted about it. I'll take headlines I should have read last year for 400, Alex. Like this is what, of course, this is not news. The Bulls, of course, like we all knew they were going to try it. And if it didn't start well, that it was time to because we all knew the only reason they didn't rebuild last year was because Brooklyn sold off most of their assets. And the Raptors and the Bulls got these crazy ideas that, there's room now for us to make it in the playoffs. And hey, once you're there, it's anybody's game.
There wasn't room.
So, James, what do you think? Does LaVine want out? And more importantly, if he's going to be traded, if the Bulls want to get rid of him, who are you looking at as a big fit or a good fit for Zach LaVine?
One, changing your Twitter bio is not national news. I'm over it. Jeffrey Simmons did it the spring for the Titans too, and all they did was re-sign it. It was the stupidest thing ever. I hate it. It's dumb. 2, the national news should still be that the Bulls didn't blow it up last fall at the trade deadline this spring. The show was all over that. It was stupid, and it's still stupid. 3, does he want out? I would want out. Yes, he wants out. They suck. Yes. 4, he can help a lot of teams. He's still very good.
They had an opportunity at the trade deadline to have R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, and picks, and Evan Fournier as a salary dump at the trade deadline, and they didn't take it because LaVine's agent, Rich Paul, doesn't want him going to the Knicks. So,
of course,
that Wow. And when you think about that, yeah, Fournier, the salary dump, depending on the situation and the GM, you could have flipped him for maybe it might not, it probably would have been it's like we're talking 2 future second rounders or something, but still, would have been helpful for a team in a rebuild to have more draft assets like that. Like, yeah, they absolutely should have blown it up. Keebler, what do you think? Add to that. Do you have um, what are your thoughts on the Twitter bio part? And then if these outside of New York, but feel free, make your pitch for New York. But is there anybody else that you? Yeah, see, that's my thing either. I'm like, oh, dude, don't even mention the Pacers. I don't want it. Like, we're good. No offense to Zach, but no, just people are like, oh, this team's kind of good. We can just plug any all-star adjacent talent into a lineup. I mean, to me, that's how I spot a casual when they're like, oh yeah, Zach LaVine to the Pacers. I'm like, what? How many games have you watched, sir? How's that going to help them? What are they going to do? Anyway, go ahead, Keeler.
About the Twitter bio, I mean, that's like the end of the world right there. That's like the say-all, end-all.
It's over. That's how you know you're out.
Like, I'm telling you, like, that's crazy. No. In all seriousness, I don't think it means anything, personally, because they could end up just holding him hostage at the end of the day if they really wanted to. His contract's fucking massive.
He's got a nasty contract.
Yeah. I don't want that contract. In hindsight, looking back, I'm really happy that the Bulls declined that offer because arguably RJ has been better than Zach LaVine this year. And then on top of that, Grimes and first-round picks. So I'm happy. Justin Herbert, if you want Zach LaVine, good luck. He's one of the most inconsistent players in the NBA. I think a team like the Heat could use him.
The Heat would be fun, I think.
I think that'd be cool. I think if Clay's on the final year of his contract, I think a Clay for Zach LaVine swap would be cool. Just to get you a little younger, a little more athletic, and still shoot the three ball pretty damn well. I think that'd be fun. Timberwolves reunion next to Anthony Edwards would be cool. But I don't know. That contract is just nasty. Like, it's going to be hard to find a trade partner that has enough assets that they're willing to move.
Yeah, it's gross. For
that salary. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I like this. I agree too. Yep, with Zach as well. Team chemistry. Just because someone's good on the court doesn't mean they are good fit for a team. Yeah, right. Yeah, Clippers, James Harden. Hey, while we're talking about, you mentioned the potential for Zach LaVine to reunite with the Timberwolves.
That's interesting.
And another big name Bulls player rumored to be on the move is Alex Caruso. One of the many teams, and sorry guys, this wasn't actually on our docket for today, but that reminded me that I have seen a lot of people on Twitter, Lakers fans, as you can guess, talking about Caruso going back to LA. Now, on the one hand, it certainly makes sense. On another hand, they already went and reacquired D'Angelo Russell. Now they're going to reacquire Alex Caruso. At some point, do you not get negative points if you have to go back and trade for players that you got rid of, and now you're gonna have to pay a higher price for those players?
Hey, give us Anthony Davis and take back Julius Randle, please. I swear.
They might be looking to move on from him next, but what do you guys think? Keebler, I'll start with you. What do you think about Caruso to the Lakers? Is that realistic? And do you have other better options for Caruso?
I think that would be the smartest option. I think a package like D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and maybe a pick or two for Caruso and LaVine would be very beneficial for them to give them more of a defensive backcourt because D'Lo is like a traffic cone on defense. And LaVine would just give you some of the offensive firepower you need in that lineup, because Cam Reddish isn't a quality starter. He's going to be benched within the next 2 months. Just want to put that out there. I don't know why he's starting, maybe for height, maybe a little bit for defense as opposed to Austin Reeves, but he's been benched by every single team that he's played for, so it's going to end up happening with LA too. It's just a matter of time. But in terms of Caruso, I think going back to LA would be very beneficial for him to take more of like that defensive anchor off the bench kind of role. And then, like I said, yeah, for LaVine to just plug him in there. It would take some adjusting to do. But I feel like a guy like LaVine who can shoot the hell out of the ball to be able to wait in the corner or wait along the perimeter and then shoot with LeBron kicking it to you, I think that would be very good for them.
I would agree. I think he fits in really well there. Fits a role they don't have right now, spot they don't have.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think it would be a good fit, despite my knocking them for just sort of kind of, I don't know. I equate this to a personal experience. At one point in my life, I traded my PlayStation 2 in for I think it was an Xbox 360 at the time, or no, Xbox One, sorry. And then, all those years later, I went back and I bought a PS2 again, and I rebought all these games that, even though now most of them are worth $4, some of them I had to go back and pay. NCAA 14, that thing costs the same. That thing costs more today than it did the day that it came out. And it's just one of those things where it's like, maybe I should have just held on to this. And now I'm paying double for this new asset, which is just to bring someone else home. Now it's what I'm doing is a little too simplistic. You'd really have to go back and look at the needs and everything of the time to look back at those trades. But yeah, Caruso to the Lakers, I don't know if it would be enough. And maybe that's a good time for us to segue into the Anthony Davis of it all. He has been struggling a bit as of late. And of course, the national media is just talking about LeBron, how great LeBron is. Fair enough, at his age, to still be doing what he's doing is pretty impressive. But what I wanted to ask you guys is, do the Lakers have enough? If what we've seen so far is what we're going to get, are they going to be forced to go ahead and make some moves? And if so, what would those moves be? So I think you're up, James. We'll go ahead and start with you. What are your thoughts on all this?
If they're going to play like this, they don't have enough, which is interesting because I love their offseason. I love what they did. But
right.
If Anthony Davis is going to play like that, it's bad. Bad news. No, they don't have enough. And they're loaded with money everywhere, so I don't know what they can do.
They've already done them. Yeah, it was amazing gymnastics for them to get here.
Yeah.
Last year at the trade deadline, I was on this very program, I was saying, who does Rob Pelinka have photos of doing what? Because how did they pull off those ridiculous trades at the trade deadline that seemed to only benefit them? But yet here we are. And I agree with Keebler's take on Cam Reddish as well. Unfortunately, I've been very reluctant to give up on Cam Reddish, but I feel like I have to accept the reality at this point.
Yeah, man. D'Angelo Russell just, I don't know, it's weird. Everything's weird. I don't know what is going on. I don't like any of it.
Yeah. But yeah, now, sorry to cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, this might be a hot take, but I think it's time for the Lakers to move on from Anthony Davis.
I don't think it's that hot of a take. I really don't.
It looks like he could use a change of scenery, and on their end, he's already 30 years old, which is still young in the grand scheme of things. But when you think of Anthony Davis, I thought he was only 27, 28, but he's already starting to get up there. And with being injury prone already, and being as inconsistent as he's been this year, I think a change of scenery would be good for him. And I think that he still holds a lot of value in the league because he's still a top 10 player when healthy, in my opinion. Just because of what he brings on the defensive end of the floor, rebounding, he can still shoot for his size, which is kind of crazy. But I think it's just time for them to move on. I don't know what team I would put him on, though. That's the only thing, because if you're going to trade for him, you're going to have to give up a Rudy Gobert type haul, 4 players, picks, because they need assets too. And if they're gonna still want to be a contender, they're gonna need quality pieces back. So is there a team that could fit? Maybe something like the Thunder, but that wouldn't make sense for them given their timeline of how they're younger. The Trailblazers wouldn't make sense because you already have DeAndre Ayton clogging that paint, and you already see that that's not working well either. The Celtics just traded for Porzingis, so they're not in the market for a big man. The Heat maybe, but they don't have the assets for it, and the Lakers don't need Tyler Hero back or any of like those guys. So it's hard to say. They should look to move on from him, but they're going to end up getting fleeced probably, and then they're going to move out of contention. I think
that's the problem.
With LeBron playing at most 3 more years, or like 2 to 3 more years, and then Anthony Davis already being injury prone and 30 years old. I think it's time for them to try to see what they can get for those guys.
I don't disagree with you there. I while also acknowledging the issues, because it's going to be a tough thing to do, but we'll see if Rob Lowe's twin brother, Rob Pelinka, can pull that one off. But James, what do you think? Do you agree with Keebler? Is it time for the Lakers to move on from Anthony Davis before we move on to our next topic?
I think so, but I don't think you can get back what he's worth, and I think that's the problem. Like Keebler nailed it completely.
Yep.
What he's worth, what you're going to get back for him when people know he probably needs to change the scenery just isn't it. So they're going to have to ride this tidal wave, this roller coaster of 9 points, 30 points, 4 points, 16, Got to find some way to get some consistency out of it. You have to.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think they're kind of stuck just rolling with Anthony Davis just because you also have to deal with the fact that LeBron is in that locker room. And if you're going to have to trade Anthony Davis for assets that aren't going to make you a contender, then that means you're going to have to trade LeBron as well. I don't think LeBron is at a point in his career, and maybe I'm wrong, because the Lakers haven't been title contenders every year that he's been there. So maybe he is just willing to play on a bad team. But just knowing the level that he's played to before, I just can't imagine him, kind of pulling a Kobe Bryant and being the only good player on a shitty team in his final NBA seasons, where he's just out there trying to score 60 points if he can. I think he's going to say, trade me to a team that can win. So I think because of that, they're going to end up rolling the dice and they're just going to stick with Anthony Davis. But we shall see. Forgive me, guys. I have another impromptu topic that I'm going to throw in there. And I don't know that we'll get into the more serious levels of this. I just kind of want to talk about it. And we'll all have more time depending on, there's a lot of details that lead into this, but it's a pretty big story in the NBA. So I would be remiss if we didn't at least mention it. So Charlotte Hornets Miles Bridges is set to return after 583 days away from the NBA. He said he is anxious to return, saying it's like the first day of school. He said some other things along the lines of, I know people won't trust me right now. I've just got to give it time, and I'm just going to go out there and do what I can to help the team and let the court situation play out. So, not my intention to put anybody on the spot here and ask for your personal opinion. By all means, if you have it, I'm not here to silence you either. But Miles Bridges is coming back to the Hornets. I guess as far as on the court, is this a big difference? And by all means, personally, if you agree or disagree with him being back in the league, by all means, let us know how you feel about that. But we'll start with you on this one, Keebler.
I'm just pulling up his stats really quickly because, like you said, it's been a while since he's been on the court.
I'll jump ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
I think you got that. That's damn near almost 2 years. That's a freaking long time. I don't think you can expect him to come back and average what he did before then. It's going to take some time, some reacclimation. They've got new pieces. Brandon Miller's in there. It's been a bit. As far as the situation, I'm don't have a lot to say other than I'm surprised that he is getting back right now with another ongoing legal situation. That's the brick incident, right, where he threw the brick at the car.
I don't think that there was much substance to that. I think it was more of just a rumor. But again, if he's going through court for it, let the due process kind of work its way. That's just my opinion on that. But sorry to cut you off.
No, you're absolutely right. I said brick, but it was the pool balls, wasn't it?
Yeah, billiard ball. That's right.
Yep. So I'm just kind of surprised, but if there's not a ton of substance to it, then it makes sense. So, but it's going to take some time for him to get back.
Yeah, agreed there. Kibo, did you get those stats that you needed?
Yeah. So in his last season, he averaged 20.7 rebounds and 4 assists. When you're putting up those numbers, I feel like you're going to be very beneficial to any team you're on. But like James said, he hasn't been on a court in a while. He's been more in court for a while. But but I think that he's obviously been practicing the entire time around the team. Like, he's not going to be too rusty. I assume that he's been with the team probably nearly the entire time. That way he doesn't, like, if they need him back, then he comes back. I don't think he was suspended from practice. I think that he just couldn't play in games. Kind of like a Ja situation. Like, with Ja, he's allowed to be at practice and everything. He just can't go to the games. So,
right.
I think that's kind of the situation. My personal opinion is just wait to see what the courts say and wait for that due process. But in the meantime, let him play. I know what he was accused of was very terrible. But we don't know the story. The courts are going to figure out the story. He knows the story. Mm-hmm. So that's really all I have to say on that regard. But in terms of basketball only, I think it's a good move for them. I don't think it pushes them into the play-in. I don't think it pushes them into the playoffs, but it's definitely a good piece to build around from just a strictly basketball standpoint.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to argue with that. And here's what the Hornets had to say. They released a statement earlier today before practice saying, "We are comfortable with Miles returning to play based on our current understanding of the facts of the recent allegations and remain in contact with the NBA as that matter proceeds through the court process." Now, I would say that that's a run-on sentence and that it could have been phrased a little bit easier for the regular person
it was
to
very
understand.
Phrasing, please, not very great.
Yeah, so they're comfortable. So I'm gonna try to break that down. They're comfortable with Miles returning based on their current understanding of the facts of that most recent set of allegations. So, and the NBA is going to tell them when the news gets worse. Essentially, is what that says to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I agree with a lot of what Keebler said. These accusations, I don't think I'm breaking any news here when I say that they are heinous. If any of that shit is true, it's despicable. And I would say that he should not be in the NBA going forward. However, I am a big proponent of us all having those rights that were agreed upon before any of us were born, to be honest, but that we have the right, innocent until proven guilty. So if there's going to be a court case, let the court settle it. It's not my job to pass judgment or to decide who's guilty and who's innocent based on my limited understanding of the facts that are available. So for the time being, I'm going to give Charlotte the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to say things like, how could a franchise allow someone like this back? No, the time may come where one of you listening to this or me myself, where you may get accused of something you did not do. Should your life be ruined because of that, just because everyone thinks what you were accused of is horrible? It might be the most disgusting thing you've ever heard of, but if you did not do it, you deserve the rights that we all believe that we should have. So as difficult of a situation as it is, that's the side of it that I'm on. For the time being, let him play. And if it turns out that he is guilty of those things, then yeah, get rid of him immediately. You can't get him out of the league fast enough if that's the case. But in the meantime, I think we all are due process, and I'll just say that. So hopefully the Hornets don't take too big of a bashing for doing this. And then I'll also say on the basketball court, they're a franchise that needs all the help that they can get, honestly. So if you have a player at his age, at his skill set, of course you're going to take that chance, especially while he's under contract, to bring him back and get him right. So there's that. My apologies for the tangent there, fellas. Hey, what about a Thursday night football update? Anything happening over there in that oblong-shaped ball world?
Ravens up 21-10 at half. Lamar's thrown 2 touchdown passes.
Let's go. That's my fantasy quarterback, baby.
Burrow is hurt and might not come back in.
Makes sense.
Mark Andrews got hurt, is on like the 3rd play of the game. He's out.
Oh, that which I hear is very bad. Twitter made it sound like we should all be sending our thoughts and prayers to Mark Andrews.
Oh, that bad, huh?
Yeah, the tweets I saw were all like, I hope that's not as bad as it looks.
He couldn't put pressure on his ankle, and they instantly put him in like a boot and shit. So he might have doing his Achilles or something. But
oh, frick, that sucks.
Yeah, that one's a bad.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
Basketball wise, the Heatles won. Jimmy Butler had 36.
Damn.
Yeah, boy, Jim.
And Duncan Robinson had 26. Bam had 20. They won pretty handily.
Lord, you look at that.
Wasn't pretty handily. 122, 115. They have a 7-game winning streak, longest in the league right now, though.
Hey, if Duncan and or Tyler Hero is going to get you 20 to 25 a night, you got a fighting chance.
Hero didn't even
against
play
most
tonight.
teams in the East.
Duncan now is averaging over 15, I think.
That's why I was just gonna pull up his stats. I bet he is.
Yeah, I would say this is like 2 years ago Duncan Robinson and not last year's Duncan Robinson for sure.
He was averaging 13.3.
Yeah, so yeah, it'll go up. Good call, good catch. Yeah.
Well, the next 2 topics I have, well, let's see. We'll start with the one that I think is more popular, the bigger news story. We already talked about what's up with the Lakers. What is up with the Clippers? And is it James Harden's fault? Now, forgive me, I cannot remember the analyst's name who went on the tirade, which I loved, by the way, basically pointing out that James Harden is that roommate who always has shitty roommates. See, my dad told me a different version of that. It was, Kevin, if everyone you meet today is an asshole, chances are you're being an asshole. And that has stuck with me throughout the years. So is James Harden the asshole? And are the Clippers going to be able to survive this? I'm sorry, I forget. I will start with you, Keebler. I think you're up.
Yeah, the Clippers fucking suck.
So bad.
Just point blank, period. I feel like it's one of those teams where it's just like you have so much talent, but you just suck. Like, because you can't figure out where to put guys. You have rumors coming out where you're about to put Westbrook off the bench for a guy that you just brought in when Russ has been having a good year. Things like that. I mean, they have Daniel Tice coming in, I think.
The savior Daniel Tice.
That's a very needle-moving move right there. But, yeah, they're not going to be able to figure it out, in my opinion. I would probably take them to miss the playoffs, maybe make the play-in. I think they're going to figure it out later in the season and be pretty dangerous down the stretch. I just don't think so. Because think about it, Kawhi and PG are still injury prone, right?
Yeah,
so
they're one wrong step away.
Exactly. They can get injured right down the stretch, and then you're screwed, and then you are relying on a 13-point per game Harden, washed up Westbrook, Ivica Zubac, which just isn't a good caliber team. I think the 76ers, in all reality, fleeced the Clippers.
They did a good job. Because the Sixers look good.
They got really good depth. They're amongst the best teams in the league. Maxey's looking like a stud, being that number 2 option on that team. I don't know. I just don't think the Clippers are going to make the playoffs. I don't think that they're going to be a top 6 team when I originally thought so. this year. I think if you rewind the tape to our predictions.
Yep.
So I think that they were top 6. I don't even think that they might even crack the top 10, but we will see. If what Paul George and James Harden are saying that, we just have to figure it out, that it'll click, but we're going to be so dangerous. I just don't see it happening, given how they're all old, they're all injury prone, they're all divas. There's just too much there, and I don't think that it's going to turn out to be anything. If one of those,
it's the nastiest 2K team I've ever assembled, but yeah,
dangerous 2K team.
Well, Nick, you went to the Knicks game with when Harden played, so you can give a little bit of insight on that. How did they look that game? Just like when they shared the court together, what was that like? I know that they lost, obviously, but like, did they look like that there was glimpses of it being figured out, or did it look like, oh shit, they're fucked?
And for the audio listeners, Nick said if one of
it.
those cats got hurt, Harden's points per game would go way up. They have to figure out how to mesh together. I'm not surprised by their early season struggles. They'll be fine. And then he responds to you by saying, yeah, it was the first game, so not surprised it wasn't great. But I don't know if that was actually in response to what you had asked, but he adds that as well. So, James, what do you think? What do you think? Are the Keeblers? I was about to say, are the Keeblers fucked? Are the Clippers fucked? The Keeblers are great. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, Keeblers are great.
Yeah, the Knicks are doing fine. The Keeblers are good over here.
Yeah, he's not the answer. He's the problem. I've said that for a long time. He forces his way out of every franchise, and then you want to complain about not having a training camp or preseason. That's on him. What was he doing? Eating cookies
in the strip clubs?
Yeah,
Daryl Morey lied to him. Daryl Morey wouldn't make a trade that the Clippers wouldn't agree to, because Daryl Morey called the Clippers and said, "Hey, can you make Terrence Mann an untouchable asset? I'd really like Terrence Mann, but I actually just don't want James." Like, it's just very stupid, you know. Like, what do you mean?
They just took Bones Highland out of the rotation, which is
took him out. Yeah,
completely blasphemous. I love Bones. I think that he
Kev's a Bones stan account. Don't worry, he was mad we got traded from.
He hasn't had a good opportunity.
Bones deserves a ring. God damn it.
Yeah, Bones in the Clippers. He has not been given a good opportunity. I feel like on a team like the Hornets, like the Rockets, on a young team where you can develop him, I feel like that would be fantastic. And to bench him for James Harden, who is obviously showing that you're 0-6 with him, 0-5, whatever it is
0-6.
Yeah, Bones is going to be that dude that at some point, if he shows up on some other team, he's just going to erupt and be like a 22 point per game guy. And then they're going to be like, oh shit, Bones Highlands is legit. And and then the Clippers will just look even more stupid than they already do based on how they've handled this. But no, I didn't understand that trade when it happened. I thought that I didn't love the Nuggets getting rid of him, and then they, in my opinion, Bones Highland and Terrence Mann do a lot of the same things. So I just didn't understand like why you'd want to have two of those guys that are both young and on a similar trajectory. But the Clippers went from arguably, in my opinion, when they were healthy, being one of the deepest teams in the league, to trading all of that depth over for a free throw merchant.
The step back three where he airballs, it's one of my favorite clips of the season so far. Where he wipes his feet off first and then step backs, airball. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm not a fan.
One of my favorite clips of all time was when James Harden just got to Philly and somebody quote tweeted it and said, Harden's only been here for 3 days. And it was like Embiid taking a step back three and he airballs it. And it's just like, dude, what is going on? What is this guy teaching people?
Yeah. The 76ers, you said it best, fleeced the Clippers. They sent an old, bad version of James Harden over for all their depth and kept everything. They kept the best player. They kept Maxey over there.
Like, how stupid are you? You're like, oh, Terrence Mann's untouchable, but we'll give you a third of our team.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. I don't get it. Is Terrence Mann the starting lineup, by the way? Because he was so untouchable, he's so important. Is that who they're plugging in for Russ?
He's a bench piece still.
Yeah, still, right? Yeah.
I laugh.
Geniuses. That's why your little brother for 4 fucking decades. That's why your little brother, Clippers.
They were 3-1
Sorry.
when they made the trade, and they're 0-6.
Can't get out of your own way. Let's trade for two of the most injured superstars of all time. Let's build our entire franchise around the two most often injured forwards that we could ever find. And then we're going to add Russ Westbrook to that. Didn't work with whoever he's been. And then we're going to bring Westbrook and Harden back together because that's worked so well since 2015 or whenever they were all together in Oklahoma. The Clippers, it angers me so much, to be honest, that they've had that collection of talent and just so poorly managed time and time again. And great players have walked in those doors, walked out, gone elsewhere, and been players. It's just Clippers are done, in my opinion. I don't know that they'll even make the playoffs. Right now, I believe that they will, but I won't be surprised if they don't.
I agree with that Zubac injury take. Zubac, in my opinion, is one of the most underappreciated centers in the NBA.
Agreed.
He's a hell of a rebounder. I think that there was a game last year that he went off for 25 boards or whatever. He just does all the intangibles. Yeah, he's not a shooter. Yeah, he's not going to give you assists, but he can do the pick and rolls. He can get the rebounds. He can do the smaller things that you need a center to do. So I agree, when one of your most consistent guys goes down like that, then it will have a big impact on you. Hopefully he's back soon for their sake. But if that's what they're rocking with right now, I don't even know who their center is going to be in that case scenario or who it has been. So someone can fill it in if they know.
I don't know either.
But yeah, him going down. I know he's playing, but back to what he can be, his injury is showing in his recent play. Yeah. Exactly. So if they give him time to rest, I feel like it'll be more productive than just trying to throw him on the court so he can play center. Or they can just pick up a cheap center through a trade. That'd be nice. Maybe you should have kept Isaiah Hartenstein. We're loving him over here. But yeah, I don't like the Clippers whatsoever, and I think that this is finally the start of their downfall. Fingers crossed.
Right. Yeah. Clearly, I just cut my promo on them, so I'll leave it at that. But they did, have they signed Daniel Tice yet? Or is that still just a rumor? I know, of course,
they're going to get him.
Yeah, as the resident Pacers fan, he's getting waived. So sorry, what are you saying, Keebler?
Well, he got bought out, but I'm sure that he's going to the Clippers. They're probably just trying to figure out the money aspect.
Yeah, it sounds like that's where he's going.
Yeah, that's fair. And he was a guy, it's just kind of a bump. There's just no room for him in Indiana. I honestly, when he had the output that he had in international play this summer, I was kind of hoping that might turn into a trade, just almost like you do in your fantasy dynasty league, right? Someone's up these weeks. Let me go ahead and try to sell this while it's high. But no, there wasn't anything there. So I really don't think it's going to be a huge needle mover. I do think he's a solid backup center. It's just there wasn't room for him in Indianapolis. Pacers fans I know are honestly kind of excited about that open roster spot. Of course, the real homers are saying stuff like bring Lance Stevenson back. But I've seen a lot of, hey, TJ Warren's a free agent. I don't see how that works for the Pacers.
He's like 200 years old.
Yeah,
he's a bubble merchant.
Right, exactly. Honestly, I'd rather have Lance. At least Lance would go in there and blow in someone's ear and piss him off, provide a little energy. Yeah. TJ Warren, I feel like kind of gets a little. I shouldn't say that. TJ Warren at times it seemed like he's been willing to leave situations if he's not getting enough playing time, and I don't think he's would come into the Pacer situation and have any playing time. So I don't think that I would rather see them go after someone young. They really don't need that spot, but it would be nice to have some size because Miles Turner does unfortunately have a repeating injury history. So Daniel Tice moving from the Pacers to the Clippers, but I have to ask you guys, I mentioned in the pre-show, it was weird. This was the first time in a long time that I felt obligated to put the Pacers into our run of show, not because of me, but just because Tyrese Halliburton especially has been all over NBA Twitter. He's assisting a lot, and he's not turning the ball over very much. So
if he was then he would be an MVP candidate. That's all I'm saying.
If he was in a bigger market, 100%. Yeah, if you're playing anywhere else, and I do think the international stuff helped him, and I think the next Olympics are going to really change things. That's the one benefit, not the one, but one of the benefits to this internet era, that it's the sport isn't as regionalized. It's not as like the big markets will always have an advantage, but technically you can, if you're on national TV enough, even if you're a smaller brand, you can get recognition. It has me afraid that this is the only contract that the Pacers will have Tyrese Halliburton for. So I really hope we maximize it while he's here, because I do think any team in the league is going to want him by the time his next contract is ready. But
he has to go through restricted free agency as well. So you could sign him to that rookie extension for like 4 or 5 extra years, and he'll probably take it because that's where you can get the most money. So you might get him for a while, but
yeah, he might be there for a bit.
Fingers crossed. I just at us Pacers fans, we've been jilted a lot. Every time we get an all-star, they want to go somewhere else. So, and even sometimes it's not even for glitz and glam. Sometimes they want to go to fucking Sacramento, of all places. But anyway, that we won that trade. Both teams won that trade. That was a win-win.
It's a weird win-win for both teams.
Yeah, you can't look at what the Kings do with DeMontis and say they lost that trade, but you can't look at the Pacers and say they lost it either. So I think it's a win-win. But what do you guys think? Are the Pacers legit? Should I stay my cautiously pessimistic self and wait for them to inevitably fail, or is this a legitimate contender in the East?
I mean, I've been saying they have the talent. They were my sleeper team this year, like I've been saying. Especially with the great coaching staff that they have with Rick Carlisle, I think that they are they're not a title contender, but they're in the same situation as a lot of teams are. Myself and like my team included, where they're like an MVP candidate away to plug in from being that championship contender, or maybe like a top 10 guy, maybe not MVP, but like if Tyrese had, let's say, I don't know, Anthony Davis instead of Obi Toppin, I think that they do much better. And things like that. That's not a knock on Obi. Obi, I love you. Thank you for your time here. But I'm just saying that's like the magnitude of the player that they need to like be in title contention. You know what I'm saying? But they're going to be very exciting to watch. They have one of the best offenses I've seen, especially in transition, like we expected. So I think that you should ride out this momentum. I think the Knicks and Pacers are both in similar situations where we both have very well-constructed rosters, and we can enjoy our success finally for the first time in who knows how long. But yeah, no, sorry to make that partially about the Knicks, but to give the Pacers their credit, I think that they're in a very good spot at the moment.
Yeah,
that's allowed. You're allowed. Sorry, go ahead, James.
Yeah, I would agree. Halliburton's last 2 games are disgusting. 32 assists and 0 turnovers. I don't know, man. Like if he plays like that all season, like at that high of a level, like an MVP type level, obviously he's not gonna have 0 turnovers. I am not putting anything past him. Like Kev, I'm gonna hype you. Like my God, he's unbelievable right now. Like he took the jump. Like you said, all that playing in the international stuff has really helped him. And
yeah, absolutely. Helped with the brand big time. And yeah, like you said, he's taking the jump. He looks
career highs in points, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, assists, rebounds. Rebounds is just off. Like, good Lord.
Not bad for a wannabe all-star, Wally?
Free throw percentage, free throws attempted, shots attempted. I mean, everything. He's playing out of his mind right now.
Everything but turnovers, right? And the turnovers aren't going up. Like, because a lot of times you would see that, not even with it being a knock against the player. The usage rate goes up, the turnovers go up. You know, it would make sense. But no, yeah. And of course, it's early in the season, so I won't get too ahead of myself. But yeah, I can't tell you how exciting it is because it's still a young team. And it's a team that a lot of these players were kind of afterthoughts in other people's trades, like Aaron Naismith. You know, people told me nonstop that the Celtics fleeced the Pacers by trading Naismith, Tease, and a draft pick for Malcolm Brogdon, who's not there anymore, by the way. And so, you know, meanwhile, you know, you got a couple of different players, Obi Toppin, Naismith, Jalen Smith. You have these guys who are talented, but where they were, there just wasn't any room for them in their rotation, or for whatever reason, because I think there might have been room for Obi Toppin, but Keebler can correct me there. I get it. Julius Randle's above him in the depth chart. But for the most part, either because somebody with a bigger name is right ahead of you in the depth chart, or, you know, you don't have multiple positions that you can play. There are a ton of players on this team that they're basically, it's like we got 3 or 4 Jermaine O'Neals, you know, just young guys who were buried on someone else's roster. They move to the Pacers, they get a chance, and it turns out they can play a little bit. So it's a very fun team to watch.
Did you see Obi's stat line against the 76ers?
I did not.
27 and 6 on 12 of 15 shooting.
Ooh, yeah, that's what we like to see, baby.
That was in 36 minutes, too. They finally let him play in the fourth quarter, because normally what they've been doing is keeping him out the last 6 to 8 minutes. That was his game, too, along with Halliburton's, obviously, 33, 7, and 15. But to get that production from him, it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, that is so huge. So I do think, I mean, but it's interesting because the Sixers after that trade are a lot healthier. I think, I mean, they're right. They might be a little better than I thought they would have been. Even, you know, when we go back to the preseason preview, it was like, well, if they keep James Harden, I think they can do this. But no, they got rid of James Harden, and I think they're a little better than where I originally had them. So
they're definitely better than where I was predicted.
Even though the Pacers are better right now than where I had them, I still don't think I like them more than like a 5 or 6 seed in the East. I know I think they're sitting at 4th right now. But yeah, very, very excited. Not something I get all the time in Indianapolis. You know, we'll talk Colts football some other day, but that brings us up, gentlemen, to our final segment of the evening. It is the NBA weekend preview. So I'm going to get this pulled up, and then I'll probably have to adjust it so we can all see it a little better. Let's see here. Oh, that's not nearly as good. All right, we'll go back to this and we'll just zoom in on it. All right, so Friday, we see it here. We will start with you, James. What sticks out for you on tomorrow night's NBA slate?
Oh, man. A lot of really good teams versus bad teams. Jesus.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. A lot of, I guess, I have to choose, huh?
Wow, there's really not
it's
a
weird.
good matchup.
Yeah. Give Nuggets,
Houston
Pelicans is kind of
Clippers.
fun. Yeah, I was literally Nuggets, Pelicans, and then the late game, Rockets, Clippers. Like, can the Clippers get it figured out? And the Rockets are playing way better than any of us expected.
I like the Rockets as underdogs a lot.
Yeah, I like that. Phoenix, Utah. I mean, if you're up at 10 p.m., watch the Houston Clippers game. Don't watch LA, Portland, or Phoenix, Utah.
Yeah, LA. There's some bad games.
Hey, you can watch Orlando muscle up on Chicago. I think that, again, you got to be real diehard for that.
Like, why is the Kings and Spurs a nationally televised game? I mean,
Wemby.
Cool,
Just
Wemby.
Wemby. Yeah.
Like, that's literally the only reason. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Sixers and Hawks would be a better nationally televised game.
Of all the because I'm a guy who, of course, wants more Sacramento Kings nationally televised games, but then it's like, but against the Spurs, like, maybe I'm hoping that it's early enough in the season. People are still like, I got to see Wemby, that it will draw more. Because I just feel like much like my Pacers, I feel like more people need to know about the Kings. I think that there are some maybe more casual fans who don't realize how much fun it could be to follow that team. So I kind of like it just because it's not like there's a marquee matchup on Friday night. Like they're all kind of shit to me. I don't
Yeah,
disagree
none
that
of them are good.
maybe Philly,
Suns
Atlanta is a
Jazz,
better,
too.
but
Why is that nationally televised?
yeah, Phoenix, Utah. It's like, dude, why is that? You're telling me that honestly Clippers, Houston, and I'm wondering if that wasn't one. How early do they do these? Because Utah was a big surprise last year, and maybe they thought
They don't do them that
But no,
soon in advance.
it had to, yeah, because it had to have just been about the big three, which we have yet to see play together, right? In Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yep, they have not played together yet.
They're hoping
Maybe go ahead.
they're hoping against the Jazz that's what the first game is. It was supposed to be yesterday, and then Beal got scratched.
Yeah, he was a late scratch yesterday.
I think that's what it comes down to, though. They looked at this schedule and they said, "Wow, these games suck." Let's televise Wemby. Let's televise Phoenix's big three. Those are some pretty big summer storylines that could draw some viewers. That's just my guess, though.
I'd rather watch cricket than most of these games. Like,
I'll be honest. I look at this. This would be the same tweet I posted out last week when they shared all the NFL primetime games, and I was like, "I'm going to get so much work done this week."
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a very productive Friday. Thank God. I have a guest spot on Simon Short's podcast, so I will not be watching any of these games. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I'm going to enjoy my Friday in other ways. But no, Houston Clippers. What about Saturday?
again,
There's a little bit better, but not much. There's one matchup here, I think.
The only two games are the Mavericks and Bucks and the Thunder and Warriors, and that's coming from a Knicks fan too. Like, we play, but we're playing the Hornets.
Yeah, not good.
Miami, Chicago could have been good.
Could be a good game.
Yeah, Timberwolves Falcons is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
That
but yeah,
was big time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, James, you agree, right? It's Mavs,
yeah,
Bucks,
that's the best one of the night.
Sunday.
Warriors and Thunder play again on.
Yeah, they played it back to back. They played tonight and Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Why didn't quit doing that? Quit doing that. Okay, so Sunday we have Phoenix and Utah again, and that one's on NBA TV as well. Wow, why would people think we want to watch Phoenix versus Utah? No one wants to watch Phoenix versus Utah. Okay.
Question.
Let's see Denver, Cleveland's not bad.
Yeah,
James, you seen anything?
76ers Nets, in my opinion, is more fun than it appears to the eye.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Could be fun, yeah, sneaky fun.
Cam Thomas,
Mikal Bridges isn't bad. This is kind of a decent slate.
Cam Thomas is out for a couple weeks.
Oh shit, Cam's out. That's right. Okay, so still. That one loses a little bit of its luster, but yeah, it's still a decent game. Honestly, Orlando at Indiana,
it's kind of fun.
I know people aren't going to watch that, but still, it would be it's going to be a fun game to look at the stat sheet, probably watch the highlights of.
Yeah.
All right, and then I like Sacramento at Dallas as well.
Fun.
Rockets rematch, but this time with Anthony Davis, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Lakers see if they can get some of that back. So, well, there you have it, folks. That is the weekend preview, and we have been at it for almost an hour and a half, which is awesome. Yep. So, I think it is time for our final segment of the night. Where can we find you? And we will go ahead and start with you, James. Where can the good folks at home find you when you're not here?
You can find us every Thursday here at 9:00. We are taking next Thursday off because of Thanksgiving, giving the boys a break. You can catch me. I still need to film it on the Bite Size Network, talking Titans, Bite Size Titans. I need to talk about their bad offensive line. Then you can catch us, me and Kev and John, on our sister station Dweeb every Wednesday, 9 p.m. talking Star Wars. And then randomly, we're popping some new content up. I know our Loki season 2 review went live today, and we've got some other stuff in the pipeline here too. So. Catch us on both those stations. I don't know if that's right or not.
Yes, sir. Oh, I like it. I love it. Yes, they're stations like TBS back in the day. Keebler, what about you, sir? Where can the folks find you when you're not hanging out with us?
So you can find me both on Instagram and Twitter, mostly Twitter, at the Knicks Stop. You can find me Tuesdays at 9:00 with John and Nick on Necessary Roughness, talking some football. Wednesdays, either at 7 or at 9, depending. Maybe even between there too, with Nate talking some sports betting. And then here, 9 o'clock, with Kev and James talking ball.
That is right. Don't forget, every Thursday night at 9 p.m., except for next Thursday, we will be off. But other than that, you can find me on the Bite Size Sports Network doing some ones and twosies things outside of the bounce here, but also doing the Bite Size Colts program. If you're into internet news and general comedy, you can watch the Clout Route over there on the Clout Route Productions or Clout Route Presents YouTube channel. We got 2 podcasts we do every week, Sunday and Tuesday from 6 to 8. You can also find me doing the Carnage Unleashed podcast right here on Bite Size Sports, but also on the Carnage Media YouTube channel, where we go over all of the biggest happenings in the world of UFC, boxing, and pro wrestling, while giving you a behind-the-scenes look into the pay-per-views that we do, because we provide amateur and pro boxing and mixed martial arts pay-per-views across the Midwest. So go check that out. Carnage Media pay-per-view. But that will do it for us here tonight on the bounce. We want to thank you all so much. Everybody who hopped into the chat and left a comment, we greatly appreciate you guys. Love my lurkers too. I mean, we got a pretty healthy audience here across our different platforms. So we greatly appreciate those of you, especially those of you who stayed here for 90 minutes. Like, we're at the end at this point. We're just doing our ad reads at the end, and you guys are still here. So we really love and appreciate you for that. So until next time, make sure you go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed already.
Closing in on 600.
Notified. We're closing in on 600, like James said, and we've got that holiday schedule coming up. So things are a little wonkier. The best way to know when we're live, make sure you don't miss it, is to subscribe and turn that notification bell on. And yeah, we are ready to celebrate 600 with all of you guys. We are getting there. March to 1,000, baby. We'll be there sooner than you know it. And until then, guys, we thank you so very much, and we will see you next time.